Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 37 of Drum Education Live. And we have the amazing Debbie Knox-Hewson here.
Hi, guys.
Thank you for coming on. What a treat.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Happy New Year. You're the first podcast of 2021.
Oh,
Wow.
great. Good.
And I'm going to open up the way we always do, which is asking about drumming education. I know you do teach, and I know you've been taught at colleges and stuff. So what do you think is missing from drum education, if anything?
That's a good question. If anything, I think the amount of resources and things can feel really overwhelming. So I feel like it's not missing. I think I can name a load of people that are doing it really well, but just making it really accessible for beginners and helping, make a roadmap to why you want to learn something, what are you going to do with it? There's so much to learn that you can feel a bit overwhelmed. I mean, I still definitely do. And I always find myself going, I'm just taking it back to stick control. That's what I'm going to just on page 1 of stick control again, literally.
Yes.
So I think just the amount of stuff out there, having a teacher that can help you navigate your way through it and apply it to your playing. There's so much I feel I've learned over the years that I've learned because I've thought I should, and then I just haven't ever used it. So now I'm trying to be a bit more focused with what I learn and what I want to do with it, sort of thing.
Cool. Did you start with formal lessons, or you started just playing the drums and then lessons came later?
Yeah, I started just playing the drums, and I think that really helped me because it was a whole little exciting world that I felt was just mine. And then when I decided that I wanted to go to music school, and I was like, oh my God, it's like fame. And then I kind of was like, oh, I should probably get a metronome. My teachers mentioned this thing that helps you keep time. And then I kind of did all of that from, I think I was like 19, that I started learning in a way that made sense to everyone and not just playing along badly to Led Zeppelin albums.
I think that's a pretty good start, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Hang on to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, it really helped my confidence to not know how bad I was for years. I think that the more you learn about it, the more you can feel really overwhelmed with how much you've got to learn. So I think, having teachers that help keep it really exciting is good.
But for example, have you gone back to recordings you've done in the past that now you didn't know anything, and then you listen back and you go like, wow, that's actually pretty good?
Well, no. I'm more like, wow, I wonder who I can message on YouTube to get this removed from the internet.
Yes.
But no, kind of. There's a gig video up online of one of my first shows in Café de Paris in 2016 or something, and I was just, it's a riot time wise, but I was like, oh, some of those fills are really out there, and it's like working backwards thinking, what kind of subdivision is that, like what am I actually playing? But cool to just just trying a load of things when I was younger, I think.
Cool.
I love
they're
that.
pretty messy.
I think that's okay. Like, I was talking to a student earlier, and like making mistakes and experimenting is so important. And for you to have that time to just try stuff.
Completely, yeah. Not to gush, but I think your videos on Instagram are really good for that. Like, because I feel like I can see you working out what you're doing. It feels very free flow, which is really, really exciting because I really struggle with kind of just thinking off the top of my head what to play.
Yeah, well, same. And I think that's the point. Again, it's like if I wanted to be perfect, because I was talking to this bass player and she was like, oh no, I only post stuff when I know it's just right. And I'm thinking, I would never ever post anything.
Yeah, same.
Because it's never there. It's never perfect. It's never good enough. I'm just going to pop it on. And this is real, like it's authentic. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. And there's magic in the spontaneity of like what you're playing. I think it was Benny Greb came up with this exercise where you play something, just whatever comes, and then you try and repeat it. And I do that a lot because I think it incorporates both parts of your thinking. You know, you're kind of just putting something out there, and then you're like honing it and putting it to grid immediately afterwards. I think, yeah, good exercise.
I need to try that. Good one.
Yeah, it's really fun. And then you start with like one bar, maybe it's just a fill, and then you can do like 4 bars, and you can just take it as far as you can, really.
Love it.
Yeah.
Can we just dive in and talk about your band, Nasty Cherry, right?
Yeah.
So, really cool. I saw you on Netflix. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Got through reality TV.
Well,
relatively unscathed.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I'm really curious about that, about whether, so many questions.
Yeah. Start with one then.
One, was this something that you guys like pitched to Netflix?
Yeah. So we weren't a band. We were a TV show first.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's Charli XCX, and I'd been playing with her for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And 5 or 6 years. Yeah, really 5 or 6 years. I was just thinking. Oh yeah, sorry. My first gig wasn't in 2016. It must have been like 2012. I was just thinking that through. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, I played with Charli for about 5 or 6 years, and then she we were on a really long tour. I think it lasted about 2 years, honestly. It would be like you've got a week in London to do your washing and see your family, and then you just go again. And we were halfway through this 2-leg tour in North America, and she was just like, I can't tour anymore. I need a break. And she said, but I really want you to drum for me, so BRB sort of thing. And that like BRB lasted about 18 months, I think. So I took some other gigs and kind of was hoping it would happen again, because I really, really liked playing with her. I think she really let me do whatever I wanted. And I always hear from other session players, they talk about playing with a big artist, they're kind of told to wear black, they sit in the back and they're told what to do. She was kind of like, I want it to be like the Spice Girls. I want you all to have a podium. I want you to have your own little fan base. I want you to just be you. So yeah, super fun gig. And then she, I was like touring with her again, and she said, I'm thinking of starting a girl band. I want it to be like the Monkees meets the Runaways. Which I was like, yes. And we have the same like coming of age nostalgia, those kind of films like The Craft and Josie and the Pussycat Dolls, and we've always really enjoyed that kind of super feminine music. So yeah, super excited. And then we filmed a little pilot in New York in 2016, I think, and it was just on a hand cam, and I was like staying in on a friend's sofa, and she was like, now just let's buy you a pizza, and then you just throw it in someone's face whilst we're driving. And I was like, this sounds like an absolute riot. So it was really like cheeky and crazy, and we took that pilot to Netflix, and luckily it was our first pitch and they took it. So we were lucky enough that they took it, and then they kind of moved us all into this I guess a small mansion in North LA. It was crazy. We had a swimming pool, but like they didn't have the budget to warm it up for us on days that they weren't filming. So basically any time that we had time to enjoy it, it was icy cold.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But yeah, and then we kind of all just learnt to write on this show. So it kind of took away, I think, a load of bands. There's always someone that's got something else they need to do, and for good reasons. Someone's like, oh, I can't do this gig, I've got work or whatever. It took all of that away, so we kind of really catalyst forward of what we could do and what we could accomplish in a really short amount of time, and also with like the best producers in LA. So it's super exciting.
And sorry, Felipe,
No, go ahead.
I'm just
Don't
gonna,
worry about me.
just gonna do
I'm
it.
just watching.
Also, dude, I love your jumper. I love your Dream Theater jumper. That's so
Oh
cool.
God, eBay, such a geek.
Love it. Love it.
You know what though? It started like bobbling up already. So heartbroken. So
annoying.
heartbroken.
I was in an eBay bidding war for a Genesis tour, like crew jumper, and it went up to like 300 quid, and I was so pleased I didn't win.
No, I've got my eyes on the crew stuff for like Michael Jackson. You know, Michael Jackson.
Oh,
crew,
yeah.
That's what I want, but they're like too much.
Yeah, that goes for a lot. That goes
Yeah.
for a lot.
What was I gonna say? So I guess, was there any drama in it? Was that all like your creation, or was it like just capturing warts and all?
Bit of both, I think. It's like if you have a small argument with someone and no one likes to be in an argument, no one likes to feel uncomfortable, so you kind of sort it and you go, is that okay? And they go, yeah, it's cool. And then like out of a room in your house that you didn't know existed, that's like a crew room, someone would pop up and be like, can you guys do that again, but can we light the garden, or can you do this quicker because the time, you know, like the sun's setting, we're going to have to move it inside. So it's like a little bit manufactured, but also quite real at the same time.
Did that mess with your head a little bit? Like you're having to go over the same thing? I don't know. Strange, right?
Yeah, completely. And you have so many people on the ground that are there to just rev you up, or you know, in an argument there'll be like one person's going, you're so right, man, like you just say what you think, and that's what we love about you. And then to the other person they'll be going, she's being really like mean to you and you shouldn't take it. So it kind of, I don't know, yeah, it's very like, what's the word?
If I was in an argument and I lost it and they asked me to film it again, I would say, can I win it this time?
Yeah, they did. The arguments did get a bit better by the fourth take. You know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Last question about this is, did you get, I'm just being super nosy, so you can just say mind your own business.
Oh no, I love it.
Did you get any say in what they edited, like what went to air?
Sort of. So like, if you said something that was a bit cringe, you probably couldn't make a call and change the entire editing process. Like you wouldn't. But at the same time, Charli was an executive producer, so she wasn't going to like throw anyone under the bus. So I kind of knew that we weren't going to come out awfully. Plus, we all knew that we wanted this to be a band that could make sense after the show. So
yeah.
there was a bit of a tug of war between the people, the production team that are like, we want the best show, you know, whoever at whoever's expense, and then Charli, who's also our record label, and everyone else going, yeah, but we also want it to make sense for you guys to carry on afterwards. So I think it towed the line well, but made for a didn't make for like the most what's the word, like crazy television. I think it maybe could have if everyone was like nothing to lose sort of thing, whereas we all wanted to be a respectable band afterwards.
Yeah, I think it was perfect. You came across really well, and you know, I'm sure it did well anyway, didn't it? Like the show. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? It's still like, I remember for ages I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's on my new shows thing, and then I was thinking, is that my algorithms because I've already watched it? So I'd ring a friend and be like, have you seen it? And they'd be like, no, sorry. And I'd be like, no, that's great, where does it come up on your screen? Like, brilliant, you haven't seen it, like, how's it looking? Okay, now watch it. Please.
Yes. Good. I'm done with my Netflix questions.
Okay.
Go.
So I'm gonna get out of the pop world, and as a drum teacher, I want to go into education, and if possible, explain to us, being at BIM, how important was that to you, as not only as a drummer, but your whole career as a musician?
Super important. I mean, it made me really. I went to the London school for a year, and this was the first. So this is my day one buying a metronome sort of thing, and the other students in my class were so good, which was good in that it really pushed me, but I did feel quite intimidated. So after a year of that, I was like, I think I want to continue studying, but I'm going to maybe go somewhere a bit smaller than London. Big fish in a small pond sort of goal. So then I went to BIM in Brighton, and I'd had that summer to just practice my butt off, really. So I felt a lot more like, yeah, I deserve to be here like everyone. And that was amazing. The teachers were just incredible. And I mean, you just don't get that anywhere else, do you, really, to know like 20 bassists and 20 guitarists, and everyone's there with a student loan, kind of just ready to do it all the time. It was really
And
amazing.
but besides drumming, what else has it helped you?
I don't know. I mean, you have other classes. You have like business classes and music business and songwriting classes, and I don't really think anything prepares you for a professional gig. And I do a lot of master classes and like clinic tours, and I really try and cover that stuff. It's like your playing is maybe 25% of what's going to keep a gig. Getting the gig's one thing, but keeping it is just being on time. It's like not being the one that complains. It's like being a good vibe, all of that sort of thing. And it does try to prepare you for that, but you do feel totally unprepared when you first do a big tour.
I'm going to ask you a question about that. Touring. So, on tour for nearly 2 years. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. The first thing I say when I like give a lesson, I'm like, Moella is no joke, kids. Like, get your technique up now, because if you are lucky enough to like take a good gig that's, you're playing an hour and a half headline set every night for 2 years, it takes it out of you. You've really got to have your stuff together in terms of, economy of motion and not damaging your wrists. I think like I get a little bit of a tingle in the corner of my ring finger on my right hand, and I'm sure that's just from not having as many months as I'd have liked to practicing my up down tap strokes.
So I mean, I guess my head goes to the bits when you're not playing and you're stuck in a bus or whatever. Like, did you have a routine to keep you like inspired and fresh for a show, or to get you in the zone?
I kind of don't really listen to that much music when I'm on tour. Like at some points I asked if we could have a practice kit set up backstage so that I could play, but really you're kind of done with it when you're doing that much. So for me, it's more about eating relatively well. I could try and go for a run every day, try and just call family. I don't know, you suddenly really need the basics. What, a bit like lockdown, in that you're suddenly being encouraged to eat well, exercise, meditate. All of those things suddenly become really important on tour.
But it makes sense though, doesn't it? I think that's it, isn't it? It's like being super aware of how can I play my best for the
definitely.
show, and also play my best for tomorrow, or the day after. So is that something that you developed quite quickly when you went out on tour? This kind of like, well, I should exercise and I should eat right, because for some people that might not be their first train of thought. How long did it take you to develop that kind of mindset, or was it always like that?
No, it was pretty quick, in that I really, as soon as we started the shows, my first show with Charli was Manchester Arena to like 21,000 people, and this is my first time not playing in a small London venue, and my first time playing with in-ears and all of that stuff after 10 days rehearsing. And I remember thinking, oh wow, this is what I want to do every day for the rest of my life. And you get off stage and you're so buzzed, and it's really easy to then just find yourself out until 5 a.m. with crew having a really good time. But I remember thinking that's not gonna be that what's the word, sustainable. So yeah, it came pretty quickly, that sort of thing, trying to hold it together.
But when you're playing the same show over and over and over and over and over again, how hard is it to concentrate every night? Because you go on autopilot, sometimes just playing a pub gig, you go on autopilot.
Yeah. I mean, I was really lucky that Charli's tour manager was her old drummer, so the drums got the most attention, and she didn't mind things changing in the set, and he would be really excited about putting in a different fill here, or sometimes if it was a really easy beat I would try and play it with a different hand. But yeah, I don't know, I don't really ever zone out. I try and really be present for everything, and I always come off stage and I'm really sweaty even if it's something quite simple, because I think you just look out and you see how many people are there, and it's you might have done it every night, but that's their big night out, especially when you play weird random places you'd never heard of before. It's kind of surreal to think that there's that many people there watching you.
That's amazing. Were you nervous? Do you ever get stage nerves before you go on for a huge show?
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I have plan B drum fills and things. If I just know that I'm too tense to play something, I'll have a backup 16th note. Get ripcord sort of thing, because I really hold it, and that's why I think drum technique is so important, because it's it is not like playing in your bedroom. The adrenaline can clamp you up, and you need to really be able to take a deep breath and then rely on really good drum technique to get you through. I remember one tour, I looked back at videos and I was literally playing I just didn't have any wrist movement. I was literally playing with my whole body. I'd come off and be like, oh God, so tight, and I'd realise I've just not utilised any technique for the whole gig. Yeah, I try not to do that anymore.
It's all learning, isn't it? And you're so right about the nerves thing. You can just be I'm so tense right now.
Completely.
And because I'm a little bit older, I'm from the time when you played big gigs, there weren't in-ear monitors. You only had the monitors. So what happens sometimes when you're playing a big venue or outdoors, because the sound goes away and doesn't come back, you think you need to hit harder. You totally forget your drum kit has microphones, and you want to hit harder, and then somebody comes to you and say, "Man, you're gonna kill yourself. Take it easy. It's just the third song. You'll have 20 more to play."
Yeah, I always put myself really low in the mix for that reason, so that I do play louder. I do the same with backing vocals. I want myself really quiet, so that I sing into it, sort of thing. But yeah, outdoor gigs are just weird anyway. We did a show in Gorky Park in Moscow, and it was in the winter. It's freezing, and I remember just breathing on my hands before going on, just thinking, "There's no way they were frozen with sticks." I was like, I don't know how I'm going to actually play a gig. Yeah,
nightmare. You did it though.
Got through.
I wanted to ask you about your teaching, because I've seen, you have to forgive me because I don't know all the details, but I've seen on your Insta that you've had some online maybe masterclasses and some things going on, and I'd really like you to just tell us a bit more about it and what would people expect and what's it all about.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing clinics for a while, and they're kind of half and half. I'll kind of play what I play on stage. I think people really forget how much goes into a show like that. That when you actually take the drums apart, unless you're Bruno Mars's brother, I can't remember his name, but like usually they're not the most difficult parts to play on a really big pop gig. It's just very trigger heavy, and there's there's like loads of electronics going on, and there's backing tracks, and so it's kind of a different challenge than you initially think when you think big professional gig. I think that more of a challenge is working out how to run backing tracks and that sort of thing. But with my online classes, I've got most of my students are pretty new, they're beginners, which is exciting because I feel like I can live vicariously through them in terms of learning things in the right order. I've like set everyone on the subdivision pyramid and technique and that sort of thing. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy teaching. I think, yeah, I think a good teacher can really make such a difference.
And are you running them regularly, or how do people like sign up? They just DM you, or
you could DM me, or I've got a Patreon set up, which I hadn't actually heard about in terms of doing for lessons, but the platform's really easy to use. It's a lot easier than me setting up some kind of membership program on my own website. So I use that. It's just a bit easier. And then you have different levels that you can pay for. So you could have one-on-one lessons, or you can join group Zoom classes, or just like be there for the kind of downloadable exercises, that sort of thing. And it's just really going through stuff that I really like. I don't really put anything on there if I don't use it myself. So loads of linear fills at the moment. That's what we're doing, and sextuplets.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's really nice actually, because then you go back through all the things you'd practiced and you're like, oh, there's actually loads of work to be done there. And yeah, it's good fun.
Great.
So but this is the only way you've always taught, like online lessons, or have you had like private students coming to your studio or going to a school or something like that?
I've never done a oh no, I've done a few one-on-one private lessons, but usually it will be at universities or colleges, and then this online thing.
And these lessons at university, do they want the drum lesson or do they want the professional side lesson?
It's a bit of both. So I usually go in and I'll play a few tracks that I've played live for Charli, or I'll play something that I played for Ray Morris, or that I've done at a big gig, and then kind of go through and talk about how I've put the backing track together, and just discuss how to make yourself indispensable on a gig. If there's something that needs doing, you should definitely try and learn it yourself, and you get a rough idea of what the bass is doing on a show, so that you can, I don't know, just have a wider idea of what's going on. So I think that's probably what I do on tour. If I'm not on stage, I try and like get a bit of a rough idea of how to do a bit of everything should anything be needed. And production and electronic drums are a really big part of my setup.
Were you thrown into that, or did you already have like a kind of good knowledge about a thing?
No, I had no idea, mate. Absolutely no idea. I'm like, as I said, really lucky with the Charli team. Everyone she had that worked for her was so welcoming and nice, and just wanted to share. Like the front of house would explain to me what he's doing, and that when we put the backing tracks together, I'd ask for some bounces of stuff so that I could have a little play around on Ableton and try and work out how it was all done. And then I wasn't ever really able to apply that to the Charli gig, because that was so big time that she had the best people putting her tracks together and stuff. But then moving on to other sessions, I could then say, oh, I've done that before, and people didn't know I hadn't really done it. I just watched people do it, and then I kind of just worked it out on the go. I shouldn't have said that.
That's life, though, isn't it? It's good. It's just like, no, you're chucked in. You have to do it.
Yeah, completely. I became a Roland demonstrator a couple of years ago, and that was a real like, oh, okay, so I'm the person that's sorting the stage out, and I'm the person that's setting up all the equipment. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos online where they'll hire someone to come in and tell you everything you can do with an SPDSX or something. But becoming one of those people is a really good way to find out quite quickly.
So we can just message you if we've got any questions, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm going to do that. I will do that. I have no clue.
And do you think having this knowledge, it's actually what keeps you getting gigs, because you have this? Because let's be honest, playing the drums. No, I know it doesn't sound fair, but let's say play a song, anyone can do it. So having this extra knowledge, is it that make you more employable, you think?
I think so. And having a willingness to learn about it, and I think also just like being a good vibe. I really think about that now when I go to an audition. I'm like, I really want to seem like the person someone wants to be 6 inches away from on a bus for the next 10 months. Like that's what I'm going to try and give over. Because that is what you're getting hired for, as well as playing the gig. Because as you say, like that's just such a small part of it, and it's a given really. If you're professional, they'd expect you to be able to play it well. I think the rest is, having all of the other knowledge. Doing a bit of backing vocals really helps. I think guys as well as girls. I know a lot of guys that kind of shy away from it, but like if you can just sing a basic note, if you can get away with that on stage, and ask the sound guy to crank the reverb and just belt it out at the back, I think it really helps.
And how do you become this person that it's okay to spend the next 6 months on a tour bus? How did it is something that came naturally to you, or is something that you actually learned on the job?
I don't know. I really, really love my job, and I've been on tours where someone's just obviously not really wanted to be there, and I think I'm very lucky that I have yet to take a gig that I've not really wanted to do. So hopefully that kind of comes across. But this is the best job in the world, really. Like,
I agree.
Places, and I think even if I was just playing the same venue every night, I think it's just something about playing to people that want to have a good time. I grew up in Greece, and like my parents had like a music venue there, and it's like a pub, like booze up music venue sort of thing. So from such a young age, I was just constantly around people that were on their like Shirley Valentine Greek island holiday, and like it's just the best feeling. It's really, really, really addictive to be around people that want to have fun, and that's what a gig is. So yeah, I think if I seem like I love it, I really, really do love it.
I love that. It's great.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of the best. Also,
it's the
drums.
best.
It's
drums are the best.
It's
Who doesn't want to be the drummer? With people going, yeah, look at her, blah. It's like, yeah, come on.
Yeah,
it's
completely.
And
also, I don't know if you've had this, but being a female drummer, you kind of catch a whole another sort of appreciation from people, especially young women at the gigs, that are like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to have picked up that instrument. I think where I'm doing mainly pop gigs and the audience is that much younger, you really catch people. You might be on the gig that makes them decide they want to become a drummer, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's immense. It's amazing. I wanted to just chat really more about Nasty Cherry, and obviously this year is last year was a complete shambles with gigs and all the rest of it. Two questions in one, Kira special. One, how have you kept it together as a band? I know you don't all live in England. How are you like the kind of band where you're Zooming regularly? I'd really like to know how you've kept it together, because that's tough. And secondly, what are your plans for the band this year? Well, once we start gigging again, basically.
Yeah. So, one, I think because we weren't a band before we were suddenly a full-time live together record deal band, I don't know, it almost feels more normal to not be in contact all the time and just get back together once something happens. So we've not do you know what I mean by that? Like, we weren't a band that had our weekly rehearsal space in the local pub, and it's kind of just feels like this is another big chapter that we're just not doing together. And I think it will probably kick back up quite organically and feel like, oh, and here we are again on a press tour or whatever. So we haven't really been stressed about getting weekly Zooms in. I think we've also been so aware that everyone's dealing with it in their own way. And like, often someone will just be like, I just don't want to think about it, because it's really sad sometimes. It's like super sad to think that this, it's just not happening. So maybe you don't want to be chatting on Zoom.
Yeah.
So we're kind of all just given one another a bit of space with that, and then kind of come together for like plans and strategy meetings. But we've got some new music coming out next month, I believe, which I got out in the middle of in between the two lockdowns. I went to LA to film to record our last EP, which was a whole weird trip, because I had to fly via Bermuda to get into the States, because you can't come from London. So I was in Bermuda for 3 weeks by myself. Which was weird.
What, like quarantining or something?
Yeah, kind of.
No.
It's just me and the fishes. I was just like snorkeling by myself for 3 weeks. It was so bizarre. So yeah, we recorded a load of work, and we've just had all of that mastered, and that will be coming out in a month or so. And then touring, I guess, when it happens. I mean, it's quite stressful to keep putting dates out, having people buy tickets, then then sending out an IOU note, and then I think that's we've kind of tried to avoid that. So I think we'll just get it all going when it can get going.
Cool. Well, that's good about the EP. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, we've still got a load of dates on our tour from last March to do, and then some festivals and things. Yeah, so it's all exciting. It's just crazy that we can't do it, because we were in the thick of it when it locked down.
Yeah. What's the new EP called?
We don't have a name yet.
Oh. Okay.
I can't remember it. No, I don't think we know. It's really cool though. It's the first body of work we've done with the same producer. So usually we've jumped straight into like pop star writing world of like the way Charli writes. She'll just spend one day in Stockholm, and then she'll go to New York for one day, and then it all kind of comes together. And that's not usually how a band does it. They usually pick someone, you hunker down in the studio, and we've never done that before. We've always done the one day here, one day there. So this one was the first thing. We were all in LA for like 2 months, and with one person, and just got it done. So I feel like it all connects really well, and it's super exciting to write and then have time to go home, think on it, come back in the next day, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Exciting. Well, everybody, keep your eyes peeled. And looking forward to hearing that.
Oh, it's so hard with the podcast. You're like, am I talking too much? But I think I should. I'd never talk this much. And I think that's what they want.
Yes.
Yeah, make our life very easy. You know, you talk, and that's
We listen.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Thank you again for having me. And
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go stalk you on Instagram and watch some of your new videos. Honestly,
Do
it's
it.
so nice to sit, like, you find players on Instagram that put stuff up and that it really inspires you to go and try stuff out, and you're definitely one of those for me. So
Oh my God. That's just like, thanks.
You're
That means a
welcome.
lot. That means a lot. Likewise. Like, you know, I'm always like really interested and like happy, like so happy to see you
Yeah.
doing so amazing. It's like, yes, go,
Nice.
shine. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
Shine. I meant that in the least cheesy way. Now we're going to end with this, with me talking rubbish.
Yes, of course. That's why I keep recording all the time.
I meant it genuinely. Like, anyway, shut up, Kira. We're going to close now.
Brilliant. Right, well, bye, chaps.
Thank you.
Thank you.